Aloha. Thank you for joining us today with another program brought to you with love from Mama. I'm Airielle.
And I'm Jason, and we're here at the Maui Arts and Music Association, and we're here to deliver to you wonderful people and wonderful events and things that are around these islands that can make a difference in your life. Today, in just a little bit, we're going to have an interview. Airielle is going to interview a wonderful man, Marco Biancardi, an acupuncturist and a friend. I think you're going to find it very stimulating and well worth watching. What do you think, Airielle?
I'm looking forward to it.
I look forward to it as well. So please be with us, and thank you for watching. Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha. This is Airielle with another wonderful, exciting opportunity for you to meet one of our incredible island healers through Mama Presents.
Sounds good, Airielle.
1, 2, 3, prova. Sono Marco Biancardi, dottore di agopuntura, presentando oggi pomeriggio con Airielle, una bellissima signorina, e sarà molto divertente.
That's lovely.
I think what he was saying is that this is Airielle and Marco Biancardi. Marco is from Italy, and he is here with us on this magnificent morning to talk about acupuncture.
Indeed, we talk about acupuncture. Hello, Airielle.
And a lot of other things.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for being here, Marco. I really appreciate it. Your home is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in this wonderful jungle here.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's so beautiful.
Harmony is has to do a lot with health too, you know. Beauty and harmony, it's a lot to do with health.
Absolutely. Looking at beauty heals the soul.
Yes. Aloha to everybody. It's my pleasure to be here, and in company with Airielle, and
Wow.
in this beautiful surrounding flower and harmony and peace and
joy and beauty and sunshine and blue skies.
You know, it's very important when you try to communicate the feeling of healing and feeling good, you know, and beauty, you know, they all go together. It's very important to create that harmony around us and keep it inside our heart.
And here on Maui, we are so fortunate because everywhere we look,
we so
have
blessed.
that opportunity to
Yes.
use this beauty to restore our souls and our peace.
Indeed.
So, Marco is an acupuncturist, along with many other things that he does. And he, where did you go to school, Marco?
I went to many different places, Airielle. First I started in Asia, in Sri Lanka, Ceylon, beautiful island. I was there for a couple of years, and it wasn't really necessarily a school. In those days, I didn't know that acupuncture was going to be my profession. I was mostly looking for teachers where I could learn from direct experience, basically, the art of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. And actually, it's just more than that. It's the whole philosophy that goes beyond. So I traveled around Asia, studied in Hong Kong, I studied in China. And then when I came into the United States, I went to school in Santa Fe, and I did an Oriental Medical Doctor degree in Chinese medicine in Santa Fe.
Wow, I'm impressed. That's quite a title. Santa Fe is a beautiful place to do it in.
It's a beautiful healing place, too.
Really,
very magical.
Very magical healing energy in Santa Fe.
It was a very good experience.
How wonderful for you. So you didn't know you were going to be an acupuncturist? I mean, what led you into that whole thing to start with?
You know, it took 2 years before I actually, there was a conscious act and say, yeah, I like this. Maybe I think I can heal, I can help people. It took 2 years. Before, it was mostly a kind of a passion that I have for it, and the anger to really learn more about myself and about how my body interacts with everything around, and how health comes around, basically.
So you started out just being interested in general? in health?
In health, but really also about how your body interact with the energy around you. You see, for the Chinese medicine, it's not just
Absolutely.
about, a headache or this or that disease. It's about how do your body respond to the external environment? How does your body respond to your emotion? How do you feed yourself in terms of food, in terms of emotion, in terms of thought, in terms of elements around you, and so on. It's a very complex cosmological aspect that you learn in traditional Chinese medicine. And the energetic that it involves is quite magnificent in a certain way.
Yeah, it works a lot with the whole balance of the body in a whole different way than Western medicine.
Yes, it does. There's a whole new. That's why earlier I talked about philosophy, and what I mean for philosophy, it means that the Chinese basically they like to deal with the energy aspect of it, and not necessarily with the once the disease is already there. They like to deal with the preventive medicine in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I think that's something that we're all learning more about.
absolutely.
Thank you, God.
Absolutely.
It's very important because for us to have gotten to this stage where we have gotten to with these bodies, it's really important that we now realize that they need to be assisted along their path
Absolutely.
to wellness
Absolutely. Well,
before we get sick.
yes, yes. And Western medicine is definitely understanding now too that the body is not just the body, that that the mind, the emotional and the energetic are all connected to each other. Therefore, when you treat an individual, you have to really have a global picture of where it stands in relation to all the different levels. And that's what we do with acupuncture, when we apply, before we apply a treatment, before we decide what kind of acupuncture point to use, there are all diagnoses, of course, that you have to do, but the diagnosis involve many different aspects of the being. It implies the physical level, the emotional level, and the energetic level.
I understand that, Marco. That's really the wholeness of what holistic healing is about. It has to deal with the emotion, the physical, the whole person, everything that's going on with them, their environment, what they're doing, what their job is, what they're thinking, if they're thinking positive or if they're thinking negative, and the different types of bodies that
Absolutely.
respond in different ways to different things, and that all has to be taken into consideration.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and that's what preventative medicine is about, because we can move with that from there.
Absolutely. One of the basic statements, of acupuncture is basically that as above, so below. So whatever, going on out there in terms of an energetic, the body reflects in a certain way that there is an interaction of energy between the season, between the weather, and between our physical body in a certain way. And the meridian system is where let's talk about a little bit the meridian system, basically. In
Sure.
traditional Chinese medicine, we have basically 12 meridian, one for each, in correspondence for each organs. And the acupuncture points are located on those meridians, so that whenever you insert you stimulate a needle located in this meridian, basically the physiological effect is that it restores a balance. It balances the flow of energy in that meridian. And so what I was trying to say, that the meridian is the place where we interchange energy between the cosmos and our body.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
the needle has the function to replace this, to bring forward this state of harmony in a certain way in the body. And one curious aspect of traditional Chinese medicine is, for example, that there are no name for diseases. The Chinese, they did not have name for diseases.
I love that.
Isn't that nice?
That's
Isn't that
great.
nice? All that there is that there is imbalance in the system. Therefore, by balancing the
Exactly.
energetic of the body, you reestablish health.
Absolutely. And then we also have to deal with what creates that imbalance to start with?
That's a more complex aspect of it,
Yes,
and that's, I
it
guess, where
is.
the real healing comes forth in a certain way, you know,
Yeah.
because you have to train people to understand where they stand in terms of emotion, in terms of
Exactly.
in terms of many different aspects of life.
Right. Well, with the work that I do, I really feel that it's wonderful, and you know what acupuncture does, and the work what we do energetically is all very wonderful in assisting the body to heal and assisting it to move through the blocks that have been created. But if we don't deal with what creates those blocks to start with, we recreate them.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's very important.
And then I think
aspect.
that the kind of therapy that we apply in a way is very, very timely right now, because also all the different energetic changes are happening in our planet in a certain way. You know, the magnetic field is not as strong as it used to be.
Really?
You know,
So different.
very different. And so therefore you have all this kind of therapy like magnet therapy that are coming out, which I understand you use quite a bit too.
I have recently gotten into using magnets, magnetic therapy. I've been sleeping on a magnetic bed, which has helped my body and my energy tremendously. And I understand that that's very individual, you know, and that
There's the same way acupuncture works in a certain way, reestablishing that magnetic field in the body.
it does. Well, my body
Absolutely.
also responds wonderfully to acupuncture. I've had incredible successes and changes with pain, for example, you know, which I think
Exactly.
that's what acupuncture has been most known for in our Western medicine
That's true.
society.
That's true, and that's one of the first approach when it was, in a way, understood in the West at the beginning. You know, that basically acupuncture was used a lot for anesthetic effect. That in China they use it a lot for surgery, for example, without using any medication. I'm sure that you've seen on TV example of that.
Yes.
And basically what they come to understand is that whenever you insert a needle in the body secretes endorphin, which is a natural, powerful painkiller, 200 times stronger than morphine.
Well, I'd much rather hire you to come into my surgery room than an anesthesiologist. That sounds good to me. I like that part of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
it
well, I'll
worked
keep
very
that in mind if I ever need it, Marco, but I don't think so with all this preventative medicine that we're doing.
Very good.
So how does it affect the pain? Like, you know, if somebody comes into you and they say, I have a pain in my right
Yeah.
shoulder.
That's where the art of a traditional Chinese medicine starts. In a certain way, you see, when you come with a pain, let's suppose a headache, for example. It's
Okay.
summertime now. A lot of people have what we call it fire problems. See, a headache, for example, is sometimes too much heat generate headache in a certain way. But there is not, you cannot go to an acupuncture and say, oh, I'll give you this point for the headache, because we recognize at least 10 different kind of headache. Each individual
Yes.
is unique.
Yes.
Therefore, there is no magic formula that works for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, when you come and see me, the first thing I look at your beauty, first of all, and appreciate who you
Thank
are.
you.
And then we feel the pulse.
Mm-hmm.
The pulse, for example, when you feel the pulse, yeah, we feel the pulse. That's good. We're good in touch. When we feel the pulse, there is not just one pulse. It's not just about the speed per minute. There are 12 different pulses, one for each organs, and each individual pulse basically gives a picture of the energetic, how strong or weak is your energetic system. Therefore, we, through the pulse, through the tongue, and palpation, depend, you know, we kind of get a picture of where you stand in terms of energetic, and then use the corresponding point. And for example, if you have a headache and we said, you know, it's because there is too much fire. Maybe you eat too much Mexican food and you get too much heat and it goes into the head and create a headache. So it is like, you know, if your house is on fire, you know, you put water to put out the fire. The same is our system. Our system is made out of element. Therefore, if your headache is because there is too much fire, maybe you have high blood pressure, what we do, we stimulate the kidneys so it generate more water and balance out the system. You see how it works?
Yeah, I do see how that works. Sure.
Your pulse is
Because
good, by
of
the way.
water. Are they good?
Yeah.
Good. All of them, I'm alive and strong.
You're alive
here. Well, that's good to know. You have such beautiful hands. They feel so nice.
Thank you.
People must love it when you take their pulses.
Indeed, it's a beautiful art, taking the pulse. It requires a lot of insight, silence, and it requires really a special connection. You know, it's very healing. Has a lot to do also with the approach, with the that you create with whoever you decide is going to be your doctor and so on.
Absolutely. I think that one of the most important things for healing is that the person feels safe. They have to feel
Very
safe.
important.
They have to feel that they can trust you, and they have to believe in what you're doing. I mean, if you
Very
have somebody
important.
that comes to you that is saying, acupuncture doesn't do anything, well, what happens then?
They're not going to come up. Also, you know, when you say about trust, you know, see acupuncture, obviously, I think everybody knows they deal with needles, and nobody likes needles, me included, you know, nobody likes needles. But the needle effect, it's very, very different from anything that you know, people tend to assume that has the same effect like the hypodermic needle. You know, the needle
yes.
is very, very small, it's very tiny, and so when you actually insert a needle, it slices through the cell, so that there is no tearing of the cell. It's just like going through butter in a certain way. Very, very easy and very gentle. And the first sensation that you might experience is a lot of peacefulness and relaxation, basically. And as you allow your system to relax, as you trust the process, you go deeper and deeper, and you basically activate your own healing process, because at the end, it's always you that you're doing the healing.
That's important, yes, that's true. But then how does that little needle, and I agree with you, for the most part, I have found acupuncture relatively painless. Every now and then it hasn't been, but for the most part it has been. But how then would you tell these people that is, how does it stop their headache? What happens in there that you figure out it needs water? And how does that stop their headache?
How does it stop the headache? You know,
how does that needle send the message to stop the headache?
I cannot answer that question in terms of Western medicine, because in a way, our way to understand what's happening in the body is still very limited. I can explain you in terms of maybe more Oriental traditional Chinese medicine. Basically, what's happening is that the needle has a balancing effect on the energetic level of the system. You know, sometime before we're talking about magnet, and it's really, the body is like a battery that generates energy on a positive and negative aspect in a certain way. So there are many, many different techniques in acupuncture. It depends where you study. You know, Japanese is different from Chinese, Korean is different from Vietnamese, and they all work very well. And European use ear acupuncture, Korean use hand acupuncture, and so on. But one of the styles that I use a lot is the Japanese, because it's very, first, they use very small, fine needle, completely painless.
I like that
very
part.
small insertion. And one of the techniques, for example, that I do like a lot is, for example, we use the needle. The needle are made with different elements. So I use a copper needle and a zinc needle. What it does is like gold and silver. It creates a polarity of energy, so that it stimulates the energy to run in the meridian in a certain flow.
Absolutely.
That stimulation of energy, that polarity, facilitate the energetic in the meridian, which in terms help the organ that has to do with your headache. And basically, anytime you insert a needle, is like sending a message to the brain, and the brain feedback is, oh, let's go and check it out. What's happening over there? So it sends red blood cell, it sends white blood cell, it activates your own immune system, basically. And that's the most...
That's the way I had heard it said, was that there were like these little messengers almost that like sent this little message into the brain that said, hey, energy balance or energy here happening, da-da-da-da-da, and
That's right.
It's
And
gone.
the body knows what to do, what kind of hormone to secrete, and how to take care of himself if we give it a chance. One of the things that I always ask to my client is basically, would you please take your mind off for maybe half an hour and just let the body do the healing. Let the body knows what they need to do. Just
Yes.
enjoy the process, relax, have fun. It's really what it's all about.
And what I love about your acupuncture, Marco, is that I mean, the care that I feel that you have for the person that you're with, and your focus with them, your attention with them, which is very different than some of the acupuncture that
It's
I've
very-
experienced,
yes.
where a doctor comes and says, well, oh, you have a pain in your shoulder? Well, we'll put a needle here, and he leaves the room for 20 minutes. And the
true,
person's
yeah.
lying there going,
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Because when you do acupuncture, especially for the first time, you like to know that you've been taken care, and that's my choice. You know, that's why I also moved to Hawaii. I used to practice in Texas and work 6 days a week in the clinic and have 3 different treatment rooms and going on at the same time. You know, and then I decided that was not the way I wanted to work. So I came to Hawaii and
or live, huh?
Yeah, only, that's right. I came to Hawaii and I basically work with one person at a time. It's my choice. It's my choice of working, and in that way, I enjoy very much because you really have a chance to get to know the person who's in front of you. And really, you know, there is many different level of working in a certain way. I mean, if my
Absolutely.
intention is to heal you and I hold that intention, then you're going to feel well.
That's right.
If my intention is to stick your needle and go and run out of the door, you know, then, you know, you might still heal, you know, but, you know, it's very important, the approach and the attention of and the love that you put into your work.
So important, and the focus.
And
You know,
people
the
do appreciate and feel it, of
constant
course. You don't need
focus.
to be a healer to appreciate that, you know, because that's very human to everybody appreciate love and care, right?
Absolutely, we all do. So, you know, with the energy work that, for example, that I do, you know, and we're moving out on those same meridians in the outer body fields. I mean, how do you feel that then affects? Do you think it affects differently or similarly to the needles? I'm just talking about the whole energy body.
Yes.
You know, the auric fields, the whole energy body system. Seems to me is that there's an electrical system in the bodies.
In a way, earlier I said there are 12 meridians, but in reality there are millions of meridians and billions of points all over the body.
All over the body.
So
yeah.
we're just talking about the main meridian and what are the main acupuncture points. Therefore, there
Exactly.
is an energetic field that is all around the body, and you know that's obviously you can heal through the aura, and there's so many different.
It's really amazing, you know, because even if we want to go with what they've proven scientifically with Kirlian photography and
Exactly.
the advancements of that, which can take pictures of these fields and how they change. I mean, they've taken pictures, for example, with the magnets, you know, of how that changes the field, you know, with these photographs. And
Yes, absolutely. One of my
it's
friends,
amazing.
acupuncturist from Texas, he was a leader of Kihei photography, and Kihei photography really helped a lot acupuncture to be recognized because
it? Great.
they did it, you know, before the acupuncture treatment and after the acupuncture treatment, and the change in the energetic field of the body was absolutely, you know, different. You
That
know,
must
there was
have been pretty amazing.
no doubt about it. You know, the effect of acupuncture, very powerful.
Well, you know, I heard a story that, and I don't know the exact truth of this. This is something that I heard, that when the acupuncturists were trying to prove the value of acupuncture, that they actually killed a monkey. I think they shocked him or something and killed him, and then they needled his perineum. And in using the needle in his perineum, they literally brought him back to life.
You know,
did you ever hear that
I
story?
never heard the story.
Okay,
I'm glad I didn't hear it before I went to school for acupuncture.
It's a story that I heard, so.
No.
And I think that can be done. You know, I know there's.
But you know, in a certain way also, because we Western, we still do in terms, we have to convince the doctor that maybe acupuncture work. If you are into acupuncture field and you know that this is a kind of therapy is being going on for at least 5,000 years, probably one of the oldest available in the world, or at least they still exist. So there is no doubt in my mind the acupuncture work, and there is no doubt in the mind of the patient that came to me and they got result from it. So I think that's the best.
Well, you know, somebody said something a little while ago, it was Jason, right, about alternative healing, and I think his words were, it's not alternative, it is the alternative.
It is the right
the
choice.
right choice.
There's no alternative.
There's
It isn't
no.
alternative healing. There is no alternative but to look at the whole system as one thing to prevent. I shouldn't be talking from behind the camera, but
It's okay.
I really feel involved with you. It's a really important subject. I'm real glad to have you guys here. Oh, back to us again.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I really agree with you.
Yeah, it's very wonderful that I love how all of this is coming together now for the rest of the world that has moved away from it to re-embrace it again.
Major improvement, and even the relationship with alternative medicine and the doctor, traditional medical Western doctor, it's much more better now that we definitely recognize by doctor, we get clients, and it's definitely a much more easier relationship that exists right now. When I think of 10 years ago, when I first moved to the United States and worked in Texas, and in those days it was still illegal to practice acupuncture, and you have no idea what we have to go through to be able. You want to hear a story?
Sure.
I heard of Chinese that because in those days you could not find the needle, they used to buy guitar string, and then they used needle out of guitar string because they didn't know where to find the needle.
They made needles out of guitar strings? How did they do that?
Well, I guess they play music after, musical acupuncture. I don't know. It sounds like a good technique, but
Well,
talking
it is
about,
definitely a technique. I use a technique similar to that.
Yes, and today, we went from using guitar string to laser therapy, for example. That's one of the latest. Certain people now use laser beam to stimulate the point. Others use magnet. I use a lot of magnet, north and south polarity magnet.
Well, one of the tools that I have is a light beam generator, which actually works with cold ionized gases, and it does stimulate the meridians, but that's not the main purpose of it. I mean, it helps to cleanse the lymphs, and it's doing the same thing. It's going in there with sound frequency, light frequency, and moving what is stuck in the body.
One of the greatest master of acupuncture, which actually died a few years ago from Japan, he was incredible. I was fortunate enough to study with him, and he used basically color. He used to use piece of color on the acupuncture point and demonstrate that just by applying a certain color, a certain vibration, the energetic field, that there was a change in the reaction, like a certain tension point will disappear.
Wow.
And so on. So
That's
I know there
exciting.
are so many different, that's what at the beginning I said, it's an art. Because
it really is.
Once you understand the basic of the energetic field, then you can apply so many different systems. And also another
But
thing.
it helps a lot, I mean, to just take the machine and just use the machine is not the same as having the understanding
Exactly,
is what you're
because
talking
there's
about.
you really also get to play a lot too.
That's
and
right.
It's really fun. It's play and creation at the same time. And I, for example, I feel very much attracted to energetic. I always focus myself on the energetic. And yet, I also practice Chinese herbs.
Yes,
Chinese herbs
I
are
know
very
you do.
important
You're wonderful
aspect
with that.
of traditional Chinese medicine. So actually, the traditional Chinese medicine, it involves acupuncture, it involves herbs, and it involves massage. These are the true. When you go to a Chinese Oriental Medical Hospital, basically, there are always these three different levels. You know, you have the first level where, well, they more called internal medicine, where they use the herbs. Then you have the acupuncture. Then you have the massage.
And herbs are so incredible. I mean, I've also
Very
had
powerful.
such outrageous results with the use of herbs that
Very powerful.
it really blows my mind, you know, and when you see just using this one herb. And then, of course, after I studied homeopathy and studied all these different things, and we look at how our medicines got started, they truly do, for the most part, come from these things. They've just
Absolutely.
been made into these things that are not real anymore.
They
Or
come-
are real, but they're not.
They're real, but I
a
mean,
natural substance.
it's a different way of
naturally formed
extracting them, and
substance,
there's
yeah.
different way of using them in a certain way. You see,
Exactly.
again, in Chinese medicine, when you use herbs, you use them according to the energetic, and according to where they're going to act in your body, and according to the energy that you want to stimulate in the body. You know, the very famous and well-known one is the ginseng. You know, ginseng is a very common tonic for men, for longevity, for energy that many people use. And yet you also have to understand that this is powerful. Just because
Very
they're not
powerful.
sell it on the pharmacy doesn't mean that, you know, you have to understand also how to use them.
Marco's saying ginseng, by the way, for those of you who are not understanding his
Ginseng.
Italian accent. Ginseng is an herb that men use very frequently, and women as well.
Yeah.
And women, I think the most commonly known one for women is dang quai.
Dang quai, exactly.
You know, which
exactly.
assists a lot with PMS and
Good.
settling
Build the blood.
nervous system.
Yes, it's very, very good. One thing that I always want to clarify in a certain way, the point I was trying to make is that, you know, for example, ginseng, did I say it right?
Ginseng is the way
Ginseng.
we say it, but I'm sure
Ginseng.
you said it right.
It
I was
is
just
very,
saying-
it's a very good herbs, and yet, if you think where ginseng come from, it comes from the northern mountain of China, Korea, very cold weather. So it's a very hot kind of herbs, which that's why it produces energy. And when taken in Hawaii, it need to be taken in small dosage in a certain way, particularly in the summer. You don't want to take
That's good
ginseng
to
in the
know.
summer. It could produce too much heat in your body, therefore causing too much energy and irritating, and maybe
Well, see, I never found it was good for me to take too much of that.
good. But you see,
So
you
I
are in touch with your
understand that.
body. You understand.
Mhm.
You know, people that take herbs like they take medication, then they need to have this kind of understanding. They need to really start feeling their body and see how their body responds to the herbs or to their medication that they're taking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important that people pay attention to their own bodies, pay attention to how they really feel, the changes in their bodies if they do take a medication or whatever. These little bugs, whatever it is that you're taking, it's really important that you attain conscious awareness of what's going on in your personal environment.
And I think that's where really the healing comes from. In a way, I feel that a lot of my work, interaction with my client is really about explaining them to understand themselves better, because eventually you are your own healer. You are the one that do the healing. I'm just a facilitator of that process and that energy that is moving in you, you know, but you are your own healer. And that's, for me, that's really the fun part of getting to know those people. Obviously, as a doctor also, you get to know people in a very personal way, you know, and they place yourself in a vulnerable space. So you get to know them very personally. And
That's true.
and they're very open to learn, and they're very, what I found, that people are very, very eager to learn about themselves, and they do want to be their own healer. They do want to be free, they do want to enjoy life, and they do want to have a good time.
Absolutely, and they want to be happy and healthy
Absolutely.
and abundant,
All of that.
and we want to live in this beautiful
And
environment.
we have to be an example of it.
We are.
We are an
Yes,
example of
isn't
this,
that wonderful? You had said earlier that disease is an imbalance, basically, in the energy systems of the body.
Yes.
And my understanding is that as well, but also that disease, which is dis-ease,
Yes.
which is that imbalance,
Yes.
right, is, and aging as well, is lack of light and oxygen in the cellular structure of the body. In testing and with photographs and all these wonderful things that they can do today, they've actually seen that the cellular structure, when it has light sent into it and oxygen, which is one of the reasons that all the great masters, for example, do prana,
Exactly.
okay, is that it infiltrates the cellular structure with the light and the oxygen, which then the disease leaves the body.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, if you provide enough oxygen to the cell, there is no absolute way that a virus can get into your system. You know, the reason why somebody goes into a bar and comes out with get a flu bug, you know, and 99% of the people don't get it, is because that person's immune system is very low of energy, is very low in prana, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
But there's the reason, the base for disease.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, this is one of the reasons I'm excited with this new machine that I have. You know, in addition to the prana and the other ways that we have of filling the structural cell with light and oxygen. You know, as you say, there's no way for the disease to stay present. So
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I also sometimes play with my client is, as they're receiving acupuncture treatment, I give them little subliminal messages in a certain way to practice with them. And one of the subliminal messages is basically breathe light into your system. As you're getting the treatment, visualize the light going into your system.
Yes.
And I guarantee that the people after the treatment, they feel 100% better, 100% better.
Absolutely, I do that as well. With
It's so
visioning
simple.
with light, it's so important and
Yes,
simple
and
and
simple.
easy. You know, most of what we have to do for preventative healing is very easy and
Very
fun, and it's not complicated. You know, we have to eat well, exercise well, love well. And on that, you know, it's interesting. I had an experience the other day. We were talking about how the energy affects the body. We went out for a hike the other day, and in the process of this, we walked through some electrical wiring, some really a lot of electrical wiring, and my body just went absolutely on freak out. I could barely walk for a while. I mean, it was like. So it was very interesting to see that, and then going home and using my machine, what I got to see was that my lymphatics had gotten blocked up in that process. It was like
The
all that
lymphatic
energy.
system is so important because, again, you know, we're also talking about the elimination of toxin.
Exactly.
And so, and the body, you know, the system around us is polluted in a certain way, and so therefore we are responsible to keep this water clean.
Exactly. We're responsible to keep this water clean. We're responsible to keep this air clean and this land clean in order to keep these bodies clean.
The emotional
Exactly. And our minds and our hearts.
minds and every aspect of it.
Absolutely. So, you know, I'm so excited that we've had this opportunity to share this conversation
Very
this
nice.
morning.
We could go for hours.
We could go on for a really long time.
It's
I
a
know
very
we
beautiful
could. Yeah,
subject
there's
to talk.
so much. And I love being here with you and sharing
Thank
this
you
because
for everybody.
I appreciate you
Thank you for
doing
everybody.
this. And I know that you've all had a wonderful, enlightening experience about acupuncture and energy and all that Marco is about. You know, I think that people who come to see you are so blessed because your energy, I mean, just sitting here beside you, your energy is so healing and so
I appreciate it.
soft. And I love your laugh and your smile. We get to experience that as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Marco.
Thank you, Airielle.
And thank you for joining us. And I know that this has been a most enlightening experience for you to learn about acupuncture and energy and Marco. And to contact Marco, where do these people contact you?
They can contact me in my office in Lahaina, which is the Lahaina Acupuncture and Massage Center, and is located on Dickinson Street, and the telephone number is 667-6260.
Or through Mama. And we would be happy to take any messages or contact Marco for you. And we appreciate your feedback and your comments. We hope you have a most beautiful day. Aloha.
Much aloha.
Well, Airielle, I want you to know I really enjoyed you and Marco. There's so much about the subject of acupuncture and electricity and magnets and so much that people have just begun to understand here in the West that have been, I guess you'd say, commonplace for 5,000 years in the Orient, huh? So,
For forever, I believe.
I am really glad that you chose Marco to be on the show with us. He's a wonderful man and I think a valuable part of our community.
He's an incredible being,
Yeah,
and
he
I
is.
love him very much, and I know you will too. Thank you for joining us.
Please realize that we hope that if you have any more questions of Marco, please call him or call us here at Mama. I know it was mentioned earlier, but it's really important for you to give us feedback, and we'll be glad to have some of these guests on again and really give input based on what you want to know.
Marco and I
Okay.
have a lot more to say.
A ton more to say. In fact, I'm sure we'll see him again on the show. Airielle, thank you for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Jason,
You're welcome.
for all the work that you do to bring Mama
Mama.
forward.
Yeah, Mama, Maui Arts and Music Association, the promotion of arts, that's visual arts, healing arts, music, the cultures of our islands, with a purpose, to heal our environment and to make a better world for all of us. And what do they say? We want to
So
start
we can live
here.
healthy and happy.
That's right. Anyway, thank you again, and aloha.
Aloha.